It's Tetsuo the Great here. Don't think I'm gonna do something like this ever again, but I thought, well, also, probably people don't know from the other videos I've done, yeah, I shaved my beard. That's because I recently got a job. But the reason I'm doing this, brand new day almost started a year ago, one more day ended, and yada yada yada. And despite Brand New Ways to Die starting off real good, it looks like things are dropping down lower and lower. The fact that the last issue of New Ways to Die equaled the amount of issues sold by the last issue of Guggenheim's She-Craven arc, the last issue in the She-Craven arc, which was, what, in the high 60,000s, which is pretty bad. It's almost getting to a point where the whole defense of, well, you have to count it as 3 titles. They have to combine all the numbers from all 3 titles and then compare that to the JMS era of 3 titles of Amazing, Sensational, and Friendly Neighborhood. That argument is pretty much becoming very flawed because the amount of issues being sold now are almost pretty much evening the amount during the JMS years. The idea that they needed to unmarry Spider-Man and had to do all this other stuff, you know, makes that whole logic very flawed. Some people are wondering, oh, why is he even saying this? You know, he's gone on internet forums, and I will have to say, even I've stopped, you know, commenting even, you know, on Spidey Crawlspace, which I'm doing less and less of. There was a time when I was on the Comic Book Resources Spider-Man forum a lot, a couple of months ago. Now on Comic Book Resources forum, the only one I go to now is pretty much Yab's, Y'all Be Sorry, Gail Simone's forum. And then I started going to Spidey Crawlspace, and even then, you know, because I'm not saying I'm being apathetic, I'm just sort of like, okay, I'd rather just read the posts than make any myself at this moment, and I just pretty much want to get that out and want to get this done because, like I said, it's the year anniversary, one more day, and I don't think I'm going to do anything like this again, even though it's probably something a lot of people who are on the anti-BND, anti-One More Day side have been saying, and probably have some YouTube posts. There's probably going to be some currently because of the fact that it is going to be the 1-year anniversary, or at least I hope so. I hope the vehemence that of, particularly since there were a couple of YouTube posts a year ago at the end of December and the early of January of this year, particularly, like, say that one guy who used the last issue of One More Day as toilet paper. But while I'm not as actively involved in posting and stuff, I still want people to know I am pissed off. I am waiting to the day, look at it as a generational thing. I grew up with a married Spider-Man. Roger Stern, Kurt Busiek, and many others, they grew up with a single Spider-Man. And I don't really fault them for that. I may fault Joe Quesada, but I'm not going to get into a bit more into that because I'd probably get in a bit more into Quesada as a person, and I don't want to do that. My hair back. Who cares? That there was another thing I wanted to talk about. I've been explaining a lot of and keeping updates on, because I've been following all this stuff, you know, interviews with the guys involved with Spider-Man, and also the numbers and stuff like that. And I've been presenting this, particularly when it started off and Quesada was doing those interviews for Comic Book Resources. And, of course, also when JMS went on Newsarama and his talking with representatives at Marvel, and I basically talked about that to my friend Sarah, who you may know from the documentary on National Novel Writing Month, short documentary I did that's here on my YouTube channel. And I've been pretty much updating her throughout the whole year. And she basically she's not a superhero comic book fan. She is, though, a self-proclaimed geek. She's very much into science fiction, fantasy, anime, manga, and other forms of geekdom. She's a huge Joss Whedon fan. You know, but still within the framework of looking at other sort of genres and how things are treated. And she's also a big B&D fan, and so there's, you know, the joke of a wizard did it. And basically, when I first told her the line, "It's magic, we don't need to explain it," she went back to the old, which is, I guess, because I don't play D&D and I'm only vaguely into high fantasy. But she basically, like a wizard did it, which is like, it may even just be a more of a local thing within those and the group of people she plays D&D with. But, you know, a lot of the stuff, and then basically whenever I would tell her stuff from interviews, she'd basically laugh. It's just interesting seeing somebody who's kind of outside of comics, and their view is almost a lot like what a lot of the people who are not for Brand New Day kind of perceptions are on how kind of ridiculous some of the stuff Marvel's been saying and the treatment of the characters, you know. And of course, she also made a point, which is also one that a lot of us pro-marriage people have been making, which is even if you want to unmarry Mary Jane and Peter, or vice versa, you know, may have a single Spider-Man, still Mary Jane needs to be part of his life, because she has become so important, so much so, in the consciousness of non-comic book readers as well. She is his Lois Lane. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter that she wasn't created until a couple of years after his creation, unlike, say, Lois Lane, which is an argument that a lot of people, you know... Okay. As you can see, I'm on Newsarama. Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, I kind of don't understand it because it's not as straightforward as the IVC2.com numbers usually look like. In the index section, I'm thinking they go by 1,000, because it was like, Ultimatum was like, I think 110, and then they went down. So I'm basing it thinking it's going to be that. It's really hard for me to tell in processing. I might just probably should wait to talk about this, but, you know, it's interesting to do further research when the IVC2.com ones come out. The reason the second issue went high was because a guest featured the Punisher, and yet the sad irony is it was the highest selling of the 3 issues that month. So I checked the other numbers, and they are consistent with the Diamond numbers. Checking on Spidey Crawlspace and George Berryman made a good observation, which was I was only 20,000 away from being the amount of how bad the numbers were under Mackie before he got kicked off. I love that in a recent interview for the upcoming character assassination arc, Mark Guggenheim said, you know, when asked, "Do you think the controversy has died down and it's in your rearview mirror?" And he said, "No, and frankly, I'm surprised." You know, getting to him, and the idea that this is, that, you know, we're still up and standing.